Testing, testing. Yeah.
It's Yusef. You're not expecting it to be like this?
No, I've seen some of your videos, so I've seen you do this type of acting before.
This kind of acting. I'm here with Yusef. Do I call you Yusef?
Or Yusef.
The reason why I'm calling him Yusef, and you're going to give me some details, so I'm going to put a little Instagram thing down here so you can see. Twitter.
Yep.
Oh, Twitter. I'm going to put Twitter. What do you do exactly?
So I'm a 3D artist and animator.
Check this out.
I've also worked on some stuff for Gateway Driving, so subscribe so you don't miss it.
Yeah, you did. You're going to do some more stuff for me as well, aren't you?
Of course I can.
I'm going to have to pay top dollar. So yeah, Yusef did some stuff for me and I love it. So if you want to get in contact with Yusef, contact him through Twitter.
Yeah. Or Instagram if you don't have Twitter.
Yusef, obviously looking at what we're doing here today. So you've contacted me through Instagram.
Yep.
Talk to me a little bit about your driving, because obviously we're here. You've got a driving test coming up.
15th of March, so exactly 1 month from today.
1 month from today. Okay, so that's plenty of time.
Yep.
I would strongly recommend, if you're going to do mock test, give yourself a bit of time so you can always go away and fix it. Are you doing, you said you've got your own car?
Yeah, I did buy myself my own car. I've been practicing with my parents.
What do you think about your driving? How would you...
So I've done around 35 hours with the instructor.
Okay.
Yeah, and I've done about, let's see, maybe 10-ish hours in my own car, because I do a lot of short drives, not that many long drives.
Well, I do think it'd be a good idea to have a little bit of a warm-up before we start. So just like always, like, comment and subscribe, because it really does boost the channel. If you like what you're seeing here and you think it's going to be beneficial, then do that, because it just really helps and pushes the video out to a wider audience.
Yep.
So yeah, support the channel. You're happy that this is going to go on YouTube, TikTok, Instagram?
Play whatever you want, as long as it helps others.
Amazing. This guy's amazing. And oh, if you want to do a mock test on my channel, if you'd like to do a mock test on my channel, then follow me on Instagram and I'll put a little thing down here so you can actually find my Instagram. Follow me on Instagram, send me a DM, and then we'll talk about it, just like we did.
Yep.
Yeah.
A few moments later.
The following will be a test of your driving ability. It's going to last approximately 35-42 minutes. At all times I like to follow the road ahead unless I tell you to turn left or turn right, or unless road signs indicate otherwise. If I need you to turn, I'll tell you in good time. We're going to take you in one reversing manoeuvre, possibly an emergency stop, and we're going to be following sat nav for about 20 minutes.
Yep.
You okay with that?
Sounds good.
If you're not sure where you're going, please ask. Tell me how you would check that your brakes were working before starting a journey.
Just brakes should not feel spongy or slack, and after moving up, you should test your brakes by pressing it, and your car should not pull to a side.
Amazing. That's an exact answer. So whenever you are ready, drive on, and then we're going to take the next road on the right.
Yep.
Yusef had a great warm-up drive, and I'm quietly confident that this test is gonna go well.
And then at the end of this road, turn right. And at the end of that road, turn right.
Yep.
So far, his mirrors and signals are well timed. He's calm and confident and in control.
Okay. And just remind you, end of the road here, turn right.
It's a good start. He does come to a complete stop when he doesn't need to, but I guess it's better safe than sorry. He's now approaching a stop sign.
The road is going to split into two. I'd like you to follow the road ahead, please, where that learner driver is.
As I'm sure you all know, when approaching a stop sign, you must come to a complete stop. Failure to do so is a serious fault. Yusef has no problems here. He also reduces the temptation to keep moving by not looking until he has come to a stop. Highly recommend this. He then deals with his first meeting traffic situation very well. He tucks in knowing that he can't fit, but slowly nudges his nose out to encourage the oncoming vehicles to give him a bit more room. This is very well done. He possibly could have waited for this last vehicle to come through, but he's really created the space, manages it well, and controls the vehicle. Meeting traffic can be quite tricky for learner drivers, and what tends to happen is you bury your nose. How you position is an incredibly important part of communication. By gently nudging the traffic, and I do mean gently, you are encouraging the other drivers to give you more room, which not only confirms to everybody that you're ready to go, but gives you the line you need to proceed. If you haven't practiced this with your driving instructors, I strongly recommend that you do.
I'd like you to find somewhere to pull up on the left in a safe place.
So far, this particular pull-up on the left has caught everybody out because they don't consider that the road is on a bend. Unfortunately, Yusef suffers the same fate. It's not a hard hit, but he does slightly mount and then grind the wheels against the curb.
Okay, that's it, relax. This is the same spot.
No way.
Exactly the same spot. It is this bend that is catching everybody out.
Oh, wow.
It's really interesting, isn't it? Sorry, you just kissed the curb. Yeah? It's okay. All right, brilliant. So what we're going to do is we're going to start the sat-nav from here. Okay, drive on when you're ready.
Yusef again does very well here. He does all-round checks to move off, but when it's busy, he then remains focused on the right-hand side, which is roadside, constantly checking the mirror and his blind spot. That's the most important part. Pay attention to the dangerous side. Yusef is turning right on this mini roundabout, and he picks up his second fault. As he arrives at the roundabout, he misses the first opportunity, but it's a small window, and I wouldn't blame you for not taking it. Then the white car comes through, followed by the van, and then more vehicles come from the left-hand side. Another missed opportunity. If he keeps missing them, this could become a bigger problem. But fortunately for Yusef, he now sees his opportunity and takes it as it comes. Mini roundabouts can be quite tricky, and I'm certainly not advising you to jump in if you're not sure, but the key to mini roundabouts is simple. You must assess both sides. Yusef is practically staring to the right-hand side and misses all the opportunities that come from his left. It's only towards the end that he starts to look left and realizes that there are opportunities for him to go. The more time you have to assess this, the more likely you are to pick the right moments. Don't rush when you're not sure, but if you've assessed it properly, you will pick the right gaps. Don't forget to look left. He then responds very well to a pedestrian priority problem, bringing the car to a stop, allowing the pedestrian to cross. This demonstrates courtesy to other road users. Very well done.
And then what I'd like you to do is find somewhere again to pull up on the left in a safe place. But if you could keep all four wheels on the road, because it's a bit confusing with these parked cars.
It's possible that a driving examiner might not tell you to keep all four wheels on the road, but I would strongly recommend that you do, even if it seems like everyone else isn't. This particular route has a lot of dual carriageway and progress driving on it, and Yusef is about to start that part of the test.
Go left on the roundabout and take the first exit, A41, Edgware Way.
Yusef ultimately does well here, but he does take a small risk. When you're turning left on a roundabout like this, it's generally far easier than having to turn right, but it's quite busy. And if you take the wrong moment and a vehicle changes position in the last second, you could find yourself in the way. Yusef doesn't have this problem, but be careful. Yusef now picks up his speed well on this 50 mph dual carriageway, maintaining a good lane discipline throughout. And when he finds himself getting closer to other vehicles, he maintains a good separation gap of at least 2 seconds minimum.
After 400 yards, go left on the roundabout and take the second exit, A410, Spur Road.
That's quite a confusing route direction. Yes?
Yeah.
Which part of the information should you have paid attention to most there? What exit is it?
Go left on the roundabout and take the second exit.
Second exit.
I did help out a lot there, but I kind of feel that it was essential. But if the examiner doesn't help you, it does highlight the importance of listening properly to the sat-nav. To turn left, second exit, is a very strange route direction. UC may have had a couple of opportunities to go here, but he waits patiently for a gap that he feels most comfortable with. Because Yusef's car was stationary and because the gaps were so small, Yusef made the right decision to wait for the right gap.
After 300 yards, go right on the roundabout and take the third exit, A5, Brockler Hill.
He has another roundabout to deal with.
Go right on the roundabout and take the third exit.
UC again does very well here. There are small windows of opportunity, but again the gaps are very small. Being cautious is definitely preferable than rushing in. Taking a half chance is very likely to go against you. He then checks both mirrors and signals in good time for the exit. Some of you may notice that there are no speed limit signs entering this junction. So what's the speed limit? If there are no signs, then there has been no speed limit change. So where were the signs? You have to go all the way back to where we exited the dual carriageway to find the speed limit for this road. And some of you might think that's a little unfair, and I'd find it hard to disagree with you. But it does show the importance of looking for signs. Whenever you turn into or out of junctions, always look for signs. Talking about signs, there's a cheeky little mini roundabout that's just coming up.
After 300 yards, cross the roundabout and take the first exit, A5, Brockler Hill.
Here's the first one, and then written on the ground are slows and bus stops and slows.
Cross the roundabout and take the first exit.
But the actual junction is almost invisible. Fortunately, there is another sign, and UC does see it and deals with it well. He then again picks up his speed, which is appropriate considering the speed limit is 40 miles an hour. UC is approaching a medium-sized roundabout turning right third exit, and his approach speed is just a little bit too fast.
After 300 yards, go right on the roundabout and take the third exit, A41, Edgware Way.
It's not by much, but it is definitely a little bit too quick. It probably is because he's not assessing the roundabout properly on the approach.
Go right on the roundabout and take the third exit.
He does, however, deal with the roundabout well. He exits in the right-hand lane, but quickly moves back to the left. Again, there are some opportunities to go, but they are tight gaps, and I don't blame him for not being sure 100% where these vehicles are going, so he waits for a safe gap. When there is uncertainty, it's always better to err on the side of caution rather than jumping in and finding yourself in the path of another car.
Take the exit, A41, Edgware Way.
As I said before, he exits in the right-hand lane, but quickly checks mirrors, signals, checks his shoulder, and moves back to the left. This is good, normal driving position. Yusef now makes his first serious mistake for awareness and planning. He's on a dual carriageway, and there are signs that the slip road is approaching on the left-hand side, but he doesn't respond to them, and a vehicle is now looking to emerge in front. He has a couple of options here, but he takes neither and forces the car to slow right down. Not surprised they weren't happy about that. This is completely avoidable, and if the roles were reversed, you would expect somebody to let you in. When driving on a dual carriageway, if you see a sign for a slip road, and not only that, but the slip road is invisible because of bushes, you have two choices: either change lanes or reduce speed. But if you choose neither, and then as you see the slip road you see a vehicle emerging, you're now in a sticky spot. This vehicle simply has nowhere to go and you're cutting them off. So to prevent this from happening, take action early.
After 400 yards, cross the roundabout and take the first exit, A41, Edgware Way, then bear left.
At this roundabout, the left-hand lane does not have to give way, and it's not necessarily Yusef's fault that he doesn't know this, but he is a little bit hesitant here.
Cross the roundabout and take the first exit, then bear left.
This could easily be an undue hesitation fault, but he has no impact on anyone behind, so in this case, it's not noteworthy. Yusef has already had a warning that he's going to be turning left, and shortly the sat-nav is going to remind him.
After 200 yards, bear left, Edgware Way.
At 200 yards, you must start to reduce speed, but Yusef just leaves a little bit too much on. He does make the turn, and it's not his fault that the junction is incredibly tight, but his approach speed was too fast, and this also affects his steering. This is a real DVSA route, and they do come down here. Yusef now has to reverse to be able to fit into this gap, but he does do all-round effective observation before he moves the car. This is not a problem, especially as there's no one behind. After a short pit stop,
And then if you could just pull up on the left just before that, I don't know, a grey car, is it? In this instance, don't worry too much about driveways for me, please.
Yusef now has to re-emerge onto this dual carriageway, which is fun.
Turn left.
It's a bit confusing, so just going back onto the dual carriageway really here.
Turn left, A41, Edgware Way. Then take the second right.
This is incredibly tricky. Not only does Yusef need to re-emerge onto this dual carriageway, but then he's going to have to turn right 2 junctions later. Rightly or wrongly, I do help a bit.
Okay, so if you look on the sat-nav where you're going to be going.
So I have to go the wrong way. Can't get into the right lane.
You're still okay. You're still good. You've still got time, buddy. Do you need to do it right away?
This lane doesn't go right.
But we're not turning right here, buddy. We don't need. Do we need to do it right away?
After 300 yards, turn right, Broadfields Avenue.
Okay, so 300 yards.
It is possible that a driving examiner wouldn't help you at all, but I would hope they would a bit, simply because that was incredibly tricky. Thank you, DVSA.
That's it.
Turn right.
I'm sure there's quite a few experienced drivers that would have made a mess of that. Maybe this particular section of the route needs to be reviewed.
Okay, so I'll be directing you as normal, okay?
Yep.
Just when it's safe to do so, if you could put the front demister on for me, please. Amazing. Thank you very much.
So that's the show me tell me question out of the way. On to the parallel park.
Okay, so I'd like you to do reverse parallel park using that car there. One of these days, we're going to do a bay park on one of my mock tests. Been a while, but we're going to do reverse parallel park using that car there. I'd like to pull up next to it and then reverse the car back in, finishing off within 2 car lengths of space, reasonably close and parallel to the curb. And in this instance, if the back end of your car is slightly within this driveway, don't worry about it, but you mustn't go up it.
Okay. Sounds good.
So treat the dropped curbs as if they are a normal curb. Okay?
All right.
Whenever you're ready.
Could Yusef have waited to move off here? Possibly, but he handles it well and doesn't interfere with anyone. And then I realise that somebody's actually sitting in the car. That doesn't normally happen, but we still proceed and get it done.
There's somebody in this car.
Yeah.
Hopefully she doesn't mind.
Yusef is demonstrating good all-round observation and control of the car. And then when he notices a van is coming, he brings the car to a stop. Really, he should be bringing the car to a stop as this car comes past, but it's very minor.
I think I might do it again.
What, the whole thing?
Actually, no. Not the whole thing.
I mean, do what you want to do, buddy.
And there's a very slight loss of control. But again, it's minor. Ultimately, I think he does very well here. He did get a little bit of help, but Yusef can park.
Yeah, sorry, I kind of helped you out there. I mean, if you want to start the whole thing again, you can. Okay, drive on when you're ready.
So we're coming to the end of the test, and there's not a lot left. But on this section of road, Yusef is driving just a little bit too quickly. He should be anticipating that something could come from the opposite direction, especially on the bends. Ultimately, it just comes down to judgment and anticipation and planning and defensive driving. In this case, it's very minor, but it's a driver fault for use of speed. And that's it, folks. End of test.
And you, my friend, can switch your engine off
Oh, that was quick.
and relax.
That went pretty quick.
Did that go quick?
It did, yeah.
Yeah? Okay,
Yeah.
1 second. How do you think you did? How was that?
I think it went well. It was a good experience, but I know I definitely made it serious.
Okay, tell me about the series.
Definitely that car on the slip road when it was coming. I should have moved to the right lane, or I should have sped up. I didn't really know that. I knew that he came.
Did you, hang on a minute, okay, so did you not have a third option?
Third option. No, I don't think so.
Okay, so you only had
Two
change
options.
lanes or speed up.
I don't know if it's slow
What's
down.
the opposite of speed up?
Slow down.
Is that not an option?
I don't know if because I don't want to go too slow and then. I didn't
At
check
what
what's
point did
behind
you
me.
notice the car on the slip road?
I noticed him, but I didn't realize that his road was going to end.
Well, what's a slip road?
True. I should have sped up.
If that had been you and you were trying to come out of, you should have sped up. Okay, I would have actually said the other way around. You should have slowed down. You should have either changed position or slowed down.
Yeah.
Why can't you slow down? If you see it early enough, if you just lift your foot off the gas pedal, We're going to talk about your gas pedal in a second,
Okay.
okay? But yes, if you'd have lifted your foot off the gas pedal a little bit, that would have given him or her an indication that you would possibly be letting them go, in which case what would they have done? And they were a little bit upset about it, weren't they?
Yeah.
If you had been that car, how would you have felt?
Yeah, I probably would have beeped as well.
Yeah. I mean, whose priority was it?
I think I have priority.
It is your priority, but the thing is, we've just got to think about other people as well, haven't we?
Yeah.
Yeah. You closed them off. And what if they'd kept coming?
Gosh. Yep.
They didn't. So unfortunately,
It's a fail. Yep.
it is a fail for that. I would ask you if it's a pass or a fail. So you said you thought it was a fail. I'm actually quite impressed with your driving. I thought that was pretty good. There's a few things that you need to tighten up on. And I think if you tighten up on these few things, you will actually be a really good driver. I said, I want to talk about your gas pedal.
Okay.
You do. You just, I mean, look, don't get me wrong. I like it. When you got on the dual carriageway, you got moving, I smiled. Yes?
Yeah.
Because it's like, what was the speed limit on the dual
50,
carriageway?
yeah.
And you just got the car moving. I really like it. But the thing is, that persists in places where it shouldn't.
Oh.
You're not anticipating or planning something could go wrong. A bit like with that slip road there. You didn't anticipate it properly, and therefore you found yourself in the mess. So if you bring a little bit of planning and anticipation to your driving, it'd be so much better. We're driving down the little farm road, that little tiny road where you just did the parallel park. It's really tight, little bends and stuff. The speed you're coming around some of those bends, if somebody had been coming the other way, bearing in mind how tight it is, what sort of evasive maneuver would you have had to have performed?
Yeah, I would have to swing to the left.
Do you think about, like, what if? What does defensive driving mean to you? If I say the words defensive driving, what does that mean to you?
Like keeping away from danger as best as you can.
Okay.
Because I checked, like, I was going to go to first gear and slow down, but then I checked that there was no one there. That's why I kept on my speed.
Do you know I'm talking about the windy road? You didn't necessarily have to go to first gear. It's just as you're coming around the corner, you can't see.
Oh, that windy road.
I mean, I'm highlighting that as an example, but I'm noticing it in other areas of your driving. You're a bit heavy on that gas pedal. So you've got a couple of approach speeds, like you're approaching junctions too fast.
Oh.
Yes?
Oh, yeah, then I have to brake harsh.
It's just a little bit too fast in places. I like the speed. Don't get me wrong. I like it, but it's just in a couple of places. But you're not really speeding. It's more use of speed in certain situations. So use of speed is normally a speeding fault. So yeah, you smacked into the curb. It's not you smacked into the curb. You more grinded it. You didn't do what she did.
That's serious.
No, I didn't put that as a serious. I don't think it was hard enough. You're probably the first person to damage my tyre, my wheel, my alloy. Yes, scrape the alloy a little bit. There's probably got a couple of scratches on it, but that's okay. That's what there's a learner car. That's what Brenda's here for. It's Brenda.
Oh,
Give Brenda some love. Undue hesitation. Mini roundabout. We sat there. Where were you looking on that mini roundabout?
to the right.
You were looking to the right, and there was cars, wasn't there? But they weren't moving. Why were they not moving?
Because of the other cars coming down.
So how many serious faults do you think you got?
2 or 3?
One. One for that.
No way.
One. I've highlighted roundabouts where you're looking. You need to start looking more to the left.
Okay.
Your roundabouts in general, the other ones were not so much of an issue.
Yeah.
I thought you did quite well.
Yeah,
It's just a mini roundabout, really. Your approach speed to junctions and anticipation and planning needs to improve. If you do that, you'll be in a much stronger position. This has been UC's mock test. It went by really quickly, didn't it?
It did, definitely.
This has been UC's mock test. Again, I can't stress this enough. Check this guy's animation. If you are in the market for animation, get him now. Thank you so much for doing this for the channel. See you in the next one.
Yeah.
Get well out.